Hello, Mr. Diaz. How are you today?
Could be better.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're here today. I know this is your first visit, and before we get started, I just wanted to ask, like asking all my clients, would you prefer to be called Mr. Diaz or Andrew?
Andrew's fine.
Andrew, okay, all right. I always just like to ask just in case. All right, Andrew. Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to kind of just jump right into it. Maybe tell me a little bit about, I know you know, very briefly that you're here because your grandma's sick, but maybe if you could let me know maybe what your goal of coming to therapy is before I hear more of the situation.
Well, my goal for coming to therapy is to kind of get like in a better headspace. It's been kind of difficult with my grandmother. She lives on her own, and you know she has to take care of her little dog. It's a little Chihuahua, and she's fallen a couple times in the literally the last couple months. She's fallen like 4 times, and you know each time it gets progressively worse between her falling and then being able to get up to then falling, having to go to the hospital, falling, and then having a fractured hip. So it's been quite a lot. The most recent time though, she fell. She actually was rushed to the hospital. She coded in the hospital, and it was really disturbing. Like basically like having them treat her like a rag doll, and you know hold her pretty much upside down.
So you were there when it happened?
Yes, it was, and that was pretty rough.
Yeah, that was difficult.
So, yeah, I mean that's what my life's been presently.
So this has really taken up a lot of your time then?
Yeah, I've had to help take care of the dog. I've had to go and you know make sure that her plants are being watered. You know, we think that it's best for her to kind of have that like positive mentality. So we have to kind of be like taking care of stuff at home. So yeah, it's been hard, especially because they recently found that she had a mass on her pancreas, and her sister, my great aunt, had actually not recently, but it's been a couple years now, had died of pancreatic cancer, and it was it's scary because when my great aunt was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, we literally got the diagnosis like I would say like on a Friday, and then by the next Sunday she was gone. You know.
Very sudden.
Yeah. She was in hospice for a couple days, so it was pretty rough.
Wow, sounds like your family's been through a lot lately.
Yeah, especially because, I mean, you know, what caused this whole, even us finding out that she had a mass on her pancreas, was the fact that we believe that a blood clot had actually gotten into her lungs and had caused blockage. And the worst part about that is that it's kind of the same thing that happened with my aunt or my great grandmother aunt, that essentially, you know, we had been complaining to the doctors, you know, pretty consistently as to why her ankles were swelling up, why there was a swelling in her legs, and she's a diabetic, so everyone keeps kind of like diabetes was the answer for everything. So it was kind of frustrating when we found out that, you know, now there was all these blood clots in her legs and one of them gotten dislodged. And I feel like had anybody actually taken my grandmother seriously, this wouldn't have happened, and she wouldn't have coded. I mean, the doctors pretty much had the ambulance not caught her within like those first 10 minutes. Yeah, she wouldn't have made it. I mean, she has a little one of those like devices like alert or something like that.
Okay.
And I guess that's what triggered the whole thing.
Wow, that's a pretty serious incident, and that you were telling the doctors, and you feel like they weren't listening.
No, they weren't.
They weren't. So, do you feel like your grandmother would still be in this situation if it weren't for the doctors? Or?
Honestly, I don't think she would have been, because if they would have, you know, found the clots earlier, should have been taking medication for, or at least we could have, had a better idea of when was going to be dislodged. But the fact that, they didn't do any of that, just kind of leads me to believe that, they should have done their job better.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with me, Andrew. Definitely sounds like a lot's been going on with your grandma and her health, and I'm sure this is putting a toll on your family. It sounds like it's definitely putting a toll on you. And
Yeah.
I noticed while you were telling your story how you mentioned that you and your family, especially you, have been doing things around your grandma's house, where she lives alone, to sort of help give her a peace of mind and to have positive thoughts. And I just wanted to ask, what have your thoughts been lately since all of this started? Have you also been having positive thoughts?
It's been kind of rough, obviously, myself being overweight and having to deal with the concept that, the diabetes runs in the family, it's like, is this kind of the future that I have to look forward to? With doctors not taking me seriously, and then something happens, and that's kind of rough. So yeah, it's been kind of hard to like just cope with everything that's been going on, and putting it all into it's just hard to find like the silver lining, she's alive right now, but she's in the hospital, and then after that it'll be physical therapy. Like, we don't even know if she'll ever have to, if she'll ever go back to her house. It's like there's no, I don't know, there's nothing quite that's like that goal, or that, that little spark at the end.
Right. And would you say that have you been feeling a little stressed out
Oh my gosh,
as well, with like having to find a place for her to be since she can't be at home?
So luckily my parents have really taken, I've really been helping out with that, picking up the more phone calls, and they're kind of taking care of that aspect. I'm the one that's actually doing the more like, boots on the ground, running around, doing all the stuff. So while it's balanced, it is definitely very stressful for the entire family. No one's able to really, sit in the back seat.
Absolutely. That's such, I can't imagine, such a difficult situation. And, you've said a couple of things that have really stood out to me, and I don't know if you noticed, I was taking notes, and I should have told you this in the beginning, but I just like to let all my clients know that even though you see me taking notes, it's not anything bad. I just do see a lot of clients, so I want to make sure that I'm remembering all the details about you. So, while you were telling me your story, I was definitely keeping in mind your goal that you stated at the beginning, which was you just want to be in a better headspace. You're feeling very stressed out. It sounds like you're having a lot of negative thoughts, and that's why you came here. I'm glad you came here. This is the first step, and I'm going to do what I can to help you get through this.
That sounds great. That's why I'm here.
Great. I'm glad you're open. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to share an idea I had of maybe something we can try to help get you going towards getting into this better headspace. Do you mind if I share that with you?
Go for it.
Okay. So, what I was thinking we could try is called, it's when you're reflecting on your thoughts. Okay. And so right now you're saying you're having a lot of negative thoughts, and part of this intervention is for you to recognize those negative thoughts. And when you do recognize those thoughts, to question them. So maybe you're having a negative thought, and you can say, well, what evidence do I have that this is true? Maybe sort of questioning them, and you can even keep track of these thoughts. Maybe make yourself a little sheet of paper, and you can even write down the time of day. Maybe you will notice there's a pattern to when you're having these thoughts. If you're comfortable, you can even record what it is you're using to question the thoughts. I don't want to give you too much in the very beginning, but I think that could be something that would be very beneficial for you. Just recognizing that you're even having those thoughts and then just questioning, is there evidence to support why I'm thinking this? Because sometimes our brain's very overactive, especially in stressful times, and just go to wild places. So it kind of helps to begin reining us in a little bit. Do you think that might be something you're willing to try?
Yeah, I could try it. Would it be is it something I could even type down on my phone? Because that's kind of my...
Sure. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked that. Absolutely, I'm a little old-fashioned, so excuse me, but absolutely, you can definitely track that on your phone, whatever works best for you, just so maybe we can make a small goal of you keeping track of that, however works best for you. So in our next meeting next week, we can kind of review that together and go from there.
Okay, so just for 1 week.
Yeah, just try it for 1 week, and when you come back next week, we'll reassess.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like something you'd like to try.
Yeah, it's not too big of a, doesn't put me out, because I still have so much to do this week, but yeah, I can try to at least just jot things down real quick, like on our notes or some type of app.
That's perfect. Yeah, I think that would be a really great start for us. I do recognize our time is about up, but before I let you go, I just wanted to ask if you had any more questions now that we're at the end here of our last meeting together, of our first meeting together, excuse me.
I did have a question. So when I'm jotting things down on my phone, is it one of those things where it's just frame of reference, just little, just 2-second little, feeling thinking about this, and not really, too specific, right?
Sure, exactly. And I know you've been very busy, doing what you can for your grandmother. So I definitely don't want to give you anything, or I don't want us to try anything that's going to take up too much of your time. So whatever is easiest for you, you just write down that quick note, or I was thinking this negative thought, and I asked myself this, and this is how I felt after. Just very quick little notes. Can kind of guide us in our next meeting.
All right, perfect.
Great.
All right.
All right, awesome. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for coming in today, and it was great to meet you. I look forward to seeing you next week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.